Thank you, Vice Chairman Swigert, the staff. Thank everybody for being here today. The latest CBO budget forecast held debt for the public to increase from 99% GDP in 2024, 116% as the groundwork by 2034. What is important to acknowledge that these trends are not set in stone. What can we do? The American people are depending each and all of us to come together, find solutions. We have to increase revenue, and we have to extend the solvency of social supports. And of course, we have to yield good returns. So we can, by one, I think, reforming our immigration system. Mr. Smucker touched on it. Two, making the ultra-wealthy and corporations pay their fair share. And three, increasing workers' ability, as was mentioned, to join our labor force, boost revenue, balance the budget for the long term. This leads to my first question, Mr. Linden. The Penn-Wharton budget model, which I'm pretty familiar with, having been involved in it from the beginning, states that exempting applicants with advanced STEM degrees from employment-based green card caps, exempting them from those caps, would reduce the federal budget deficit by $129 billion over 10 years. The CBO then projects 5 million more immigrants. I love immigration. 5 million more immigrants would add an additional $1 trillion to our tax revenue over 10 years. That's real money. Can you speak to the impact that this reform would have on our labor force and revenue, and how this could drive our local and national economies, protect Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid for generations? Mr. Linden.
That's a great question. Look, I think we should ground ourselves in some basic facts, which is that right now we have the highest labor force participation rate in the United States for prime age workers that we've seen in 20 years. Yep. And we've talked about some of our demographic challenges. We know that those are real, and they don't have to be challenges. They just are what they are. The American people as a whole are getting older, and we can help expand our economy with more workers. That can come through, as we've talked about, higher birth rates, but also through legal immigration. And so that's why the CBO says what it says about immigration being really good for our fiscal future. I do want to make the point I want to double click on the point you said, which is, look, what creates growth in this country? Growth does not come from the top. It comes from entrepreneurs, it comes from workers, it comes from families. And when we attract the highest talent, highest skilled people from all over the world to the United States, that's good for everybody. That's going to raise wages, it creates jobs, it creates more growth, and it does create more revenue into the Treasury to help us with our fiscal risks.
How many immigrants do we take in a year on average? Is it about a million a year?
Sorry, repeat the question.
How many immigrants are we bringing in for the last 20-some years? Legal immigrants.
I would have to go back and check the question.
It's about 1 million a year. What would happen if we took that number to 5 million immigrants and we did that every year? Maybe that would reduce pressure on the border if we process those folks at their country of origin. So that would, like, originally they could go to their own country, consulate, an embassy, et cetera. 1 million to 5 million. Any thoughts?
I would really want to defer that question to true immigration experts. I do not consider myself that. What I will say is that, look, when we want to think about reducing our fiscal risk, we need to expand the economy. We need to invest in things that grow the economy. We know that having more workers, more businesses, more, higher wages.
The best way to do that, the best single way to do that would be more immigration, legal immigration.
I wouldn't want to say that that's.
We're not going to move the birth rate. When the birth rate's not moving, you can't get that done.
I think the bank.
What else you got? I got nothing else.
I mean, you can invest in early childhood education too, but those things aren't. We shouldn't pit those things against each other. We can do both of those things.
Okay, thank you. Baseline tax cuts, loopholes, corporations, wealthy, ultra wealthy, definitely damaging our nation's fiscal health, devastating families. Public school teacher might pay a higher tax rate than someone that makes a significant amount of money. That's wrong. Dr. Clausing, could you talk about quickly Bush tax cuts, the Trump tax scam, and their extensions have impacted the economy?
Yes, absolutely. We haven't seen either of those lead to a big boost in growth, or really any discernible boost in growth or investment. And certainly it's reduced corporate tax revenues in the case of the Trump tax cuts, and revenues writ large in both instances. So there's no evidence that that's really been a wise investment of fiscal dollars. And just on the immigration front too, I will agree with you that I think this is an incredibly important thing to do, and that if you look at the share of new businesses and Fortune 500 companies that are founded by immigrants, you're going to get not just labor force participation, but you're going to get entrepreneurship, innovation, and growth.
40% founded by
Yeah,
immigrants of the next generation. Apple, Google, eBay, the
Yeah.
list never ends. Immigrants create tens of millions of jobs. Thank you. I yield back.